What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Channel. My name's AJ Gels. How y'all doing? I hope you all had a happy holiday if you celebrate that sort of thing. I didn't really do an actual celebration, mostly to spend time with the family and all of that. Hence why the show is late. Not exactly why the show is this late. It was supposed to be up yesterday. I just decided, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take a nap, around noon, and then I woke up at midnight, and then I realized, I slept 12 hours. I'm an asshole. Shouldn't be surprising. Either way, I do have a jam-packed show for you guys this week. We got a good number of articles, a few different topics to cover. Obviously, the first thing we're going to be starting with, is this article on PlayStation Blog, which is introducing the new PlayStation 5 controller. Honestly, I still don't know how I feel about it. I keep going back and forth, but I'll get into that in a bit. One thing I do want to bring up real quick before we actually hop into the show, and that is what you will probably be seeing uploaded today. Expect to see a crap load of Final Fantasy VII, mostly because I am loving the crap out of that game, and I just really want to sit and just keep playing it. For now, I had a similar thing with Persona 5 Royal, and now I'm having it with Final Fantasy VII. These are two, at the moment, 10 out of 10 games for me this year, and honestly, two of my strongest Game of the Year candidates at the moment. So that is recording strategy for today. I already mentioned we're starting the show. Happy holidays. I feel like there's something else. I always feel like there's something else. That's about it. The usual drill. Timestamps and links are in the description as always. So let's actually crack this open. First article, PlayStation Blog introducing DualSense, the new wireless game controller for the PlayStation 5. This is on PlayStation Blog by Hideaki. Yeah, I believe it's Hideaki Nishi. God damn it, I should have learned how to pronounce people's names. Nishino. Jesus Christ. Who, by the way, is the Senior Vice President, Platform Planning and Management. Now, article reads, we've reached an exciting milestone with the PlayStation 5 as we're starting to ship our new controller in its final design to developers who are implementing its unique features into their games. But first, we wanted everyone in the PlayStation community to get a first look at the DualSense wireless controller. And here are our vision for how the new controller will captivate more of your senses as you interact with the virtual worlds in PlayStation 5. The features of DualSense, along with PS5's Tempest 3D audio tech, will deliver a new feeling of immersion to players. When PS4 launched in 2013, the DualShock 4 wireless controller garnered a lot of positive feedback from gamers and developers for being the best PlayStation controller yet, and for introducing forward-looking features like the share button. This brought us to the next question: how do we build upon that success? Honestly, the PlayStation 4 controller is probably my favorite controller that I've ever used. Honestly, I'm surprised how much I like the Switch Pro controller. When I went out and bought one of those, I bought it for playing Wolfenstein. And honestly, I'm surprised how much I like it. I use it for pretty much anything Switch now. And honestly, the reason I bring that one up is because this kind of this reminds me more of the Switch Pro controller than it does the current DualShock that I use. It's like I said earlier, I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about it. I keep coming around, and I keep coming around on the new controller. I keep liking it more and more. The more I look at it, the more I kind of see it. Let's see if we can find the back view. Yeah, right there. Because, I like the depth of the controller. It doesn't look too meaty. It looks like it's going to contour to the hand very well. Again, similar contouring to what the PS4's controller is. Frankly, that's, if we're going to keep talking about things that I like and don't like, honestly, I'm not a fan of the Xbox controller. Give me a second. I'm actually reaching under my desk to pull it out. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't contour to my hand. It's something about how it angles out instead of being more flat or rounded on the sides. It's something how the DualSense is a little more angular, in my opinion, than what the Xbox's controller is. Granted, I'm holding just a basic general Xbox One controller in my hand right now. Sorry, didn't want to throw it back down on my desk. It's something about that, just the design of the Xbox controller. I loved the 360 controller. I'm not a massive fan of the Xbox One. I don't like the paddles at the top. The face buttons click too much. it just doesn't fit my hand right. It always feels a little awkward. It's just a little too big. The PlayStation controller has always felt nice. I really like the contouring to the hand, which honestly I still would like to see a little bit more. It's still, I think, got a little too much meat here, but I don't mind it. Similar to, I think it's a little too wide right here in comparison to how long the actual handles are. But again, I thought the same thing about the Switch Pro controller, but I actually really like that one. So it is what it is. Especially because I'm also going all of this off a picture. Clearly, I'll have a better kind of sense of this thing when I actually get it in my hands come holiday holiday of this year, excuse me. So, I mean, that's I know everything I'm talking about here is kind of cosmetic, but again, I think this is important to talk about how it will fit in the hand, how it will control and everything, because again, that's a big reason why I prefer to play on PlayStation than I do on Xbox, is because the controller itself, in my opinion, is so much better. That's the first thing. The article will keep talking about, how they moved the light bar from being up here at the top to kind of down here right next to the touchpad. Honestly, I kind of like the color scheme, the all white with the black. I've seen mock-ups of people doing one of like an all black one that I really like too. Personally, I lean towards the all black one, but that's because I kind of like the darker color schemes, but that's just me. But honestly, I don't hate this controller design, and I've seen people kind of do mock-ups of what the PS5 might look like when they kind of compare it to this controller, and I think the thing looks dope. Granted, I mean, we've not seen the PS5 yet, so again, it's all speculation, but again, if the controller's anything to go by, so far I'm coming around to the design on the controller, and honestly, I'm even looking at it more now, I'm liking it more and more. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. I really need to lay off the coffee. Oh, jeez. All right, let's keep going. I can't read the word thoughtful for some reason. After thoughtful consideration, we decided to keep much of what gamers love about the DualShock 4 intact, while also adding new functionality and refining the design. Based on our discussions with developers, we concluded that the sense of touch within gameplay, much like audio, hasn't been a big focus for games. We had a great opportunity with PS5 to innovate by offering game creators the ability to explore how they can heighten that feeling of immersion through our new controller. This is why we adopted haptic feedback, which adds a variety of powerful sensation you'll feel when you play, such as the slow grittiness of driving a car through mud. We also incorporated adaptive triggers to the L2, R2 buttons of the DualSense, so you can truly feel the tension of your actions, like when drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. Actually, I really like that idea of the adaptive triggers. That's something that I've been hearing a lot of lately, especially coming into the next generation. I've really liked that idea. I think it'll add something new to playing the games. Almost give a weight to the hand. I don't want to say add a weight to the controller, because I was talking about the physical properties of the controller. I mean, kind of make me think that I am drawing, like to use their analogy, to make it actually feel like I'm drawing that bow, not some fatty in a chair with a bag of Cheetos. And if you're going to ask me if there's Cheetos within my general vicinity right now, the answer is yes, but that's beside the point. This provided us with an exciting challenge to design a new controller that builds off of the current generation while taking into account the new features we were adding. For example, with adaptive triggers, we had to consider how the components would fit into the hardware without giving it a bulky feeling. Our design team worked closely with our hardware engineers to place the triggers and actuators. The designers were then able to draw the lines of how the exterior of the controller would look and feel, with the challenge of making the controller feel smaller than it really looks. In the end, we changed the angle of the hand triggers and also made some subtle updates to the grip. We also took thoughtful consideration into ways to maintain a strong battery life for DualSense 4's rechargeable battery and to lessen the weight of the controller as much as possible as new features were added. See, again, I like the rechargeable battery thing. I like the ease of it. I don't have to worry about battery packs. I don't have to worry about AA's or whatever. Looking at you, Xbox, because they have said they're keeping the batteries. Again, it's like I said, the Xbox controller, everything I've seen of it, just still looks like just another Xbox controller, and I'm going, yay. This one, it really looks like they're trying to improve on their design and change it and bring it into the future. And granted, I know it's the span of what? It's going to be 7 years since the last one. I'm sorry, I had to do math. Since the DualShock 4. And I like how they're still trying to improve. They're still trying to take that controller even further. And again, I like the fact that they are going to try and even improve the battery life. You know, they're focusing on the battery life. They're focusing on the buttons. They're focusing on what's the guts of the controller as well as the externals. I know I feel like I'm shifting topics a little too quickly in this, but I feel like there's a lot to say in just this paragraph about this controller. See here, for the buttons, you'll notice there is no longer a share button as we had with the DualShock 4. Don't worry, it's not going away. In fact, we've built upon the success of our industry-first share button to bringing a new create button feature. With create, we're once again pioneering new ways for players to create epic gameplay content to share with the world, or just to enjoy it for themselves. We'll have more details on the feature as we get close to launch. Okay, this one I have a very strong feeling it's going to be the same thing with new feature. It's going to be the same thing, but more. You know, it's going to be everything that you currently can use the share button for. Just like I said, maybe some more editing tools or this, that, the other thing. Personally, I don't really use the share feature, mostly because I always run everything through my capture card. I have my software here. I got my PC, my monitors, everything like that. So clearly, you know, I have a larger operation. But, you know, I know people who use, I have friends in real life who love using the share button and love using all that stuff. So I'm sure for those people who like the share feature on the PlayStation 4, I think this is going to just, again, be another step forward, like I've basically been trying to get at. Let's see here. DualSense also has a built-in microphone array, which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset, ideal for jumping into a quick conversation. But of course, if you are planning to chat for a longer period, it's good to have a headset handy. And again, another feature. It's just easy to say. I like it. I think it's a good. I think it's a good move. Let's move on. Now let's talk about the colors. Traditionally, our base controllers have a single color. As you can see, we went with a different direction this time around and decided a two-tone design. Additionally, we changed the position of the light bar that will give it an extra pop. On DualShock 4, it sat on the top of the controller. Now it sits at the side of the touchpad, giving it a slightly larger look and feel. In all, we went through several concepts and hundreds of mock-ups over the last few years before we settled on this final design. DualSense, has been tested by a wider range of gamers with a variety of hand sizes in order for us to achieve the comfort level we wanted with great ergonomics. Our goal with DualSense is to give gamers the feeling of being transported into the game world as soon as they open the box. We want gamers to feel like the controller is an extension of themselves when they're playing, so much so that they forget that it's even in their hands. That's kind of what I was trying to allude to a little earlier. We are thrilled about sharing the final look of the DualSense controller with our fans, and we can't wait for everyone to get their hands on it. I'd like to close with a message from SIE President and CEO Jim Ryan. And I quote, DualSense marks a radical departure from our previous controller offerings and captures just how strongly we feel about making a generational leap with the PS5. The new controller, along with many innovation features in PlayStation 5, will be transformative for games, continuing our mission at PlayStation to push the boundaries of play now and in the future. To the PlayStation community, I truly want to thank you for sharing this exciting journey with us as we head towards PS5's launch in holiday 2020. We look forward to sharing more information about the PS5, including the console design, in the coming months, end quote. Once more, that was Jim Ryan, President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Now, let's move on to a reaction from a PlayStation-focused site. I think you know which one I'm talking about. As I said, if y'all know anything about this channel, know a lot of the sites that I've been using a lot recently. Alright, moving on from the PlayStation announcement of the DualSense, here is a reaction by Sammy Barker on Push Square. Again, as I always say, whenever I cover Push Square stuff, that also covers some Microsoft stuff. Always note, this is obviously PlayStation focused. They do have that PlayStation Edge, similar to myself. So, you know, I usually kind of agree with them. But again, always keep that bias, etc., in your heads, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So, moving on. Our reaction. DualSense reveals Sony's unrivaled ambition for the PlayStation 5. Article Sammy Barker, once more, Push Square. You can forgive Sony for offering more of the same with the PlayStation 5. After all, its current generation console is one of the most successful platforms of all time with the PlayStation 4. While the PlayStation 4, will be hard pushed to match the PlayStation 2's astronomical install base, it will end the generation much more profitable thanks to the popularity and subscription service PlayStation Plus and the cash cow PlayStation Store. But the latest PlayStation 5 reveals demonstrate how Sony refuses to rest on its laurels. The next generation console is constructed upon the same foundations as its predecessor, of course, but it's promising more than just better graphics. Take the DualSense controller, for example. It's got all the technology of the DualShock 4 inside of it, but it's bundling in haptic feedback, a microphone, and adaptive triggers. The Japanese giant wants you to feel its games. That's a very odd sentence, but I get what they're trying to get at. No, and this is also similar to what I was saying about Xbox. It seems like all Xbox is their focus for the next generation, and this is I was talking about this. Can't remember when this was. If it was last week, the week before that. When I started kind of talking about things after the PlayStation reveal. Everybody was going on about the teraflops. It's teraflops. Everything's so, look at the absolute power advantage that Microsoft has over Sony coming into this generation. Okay, fine. Yet again, we can already look at the kind of games that are going to be coming out on PlayStation. We can look at the success of the previous generation. We can look at the install bases. We can look at so many factors that I think PlayStation already has the advantage, or maybe not an advantage in the next generation, because an install base of the previous generation doesn't guarantee that they're going to buy the next generation hardware, but it sure as hell helps. It helps that people are already with your company, that they're already seeing the games, specifically your exclusives, that hopefully we're going to see sequels with in the next generation. I keep bringing up that I think games are going to be the deciding factor, and again, it seems like all Xbox wants to do is talk power. Hell, Phil Spencer's even said it. I mean, great. He's also said that we have some secret stuff in the pipe, but again, it's smoke at the moment. We don't know what it is. I have a very strong feeling it's going to be his heavy focus on streaming and everything, which I still don't think is going to be a great idea for a long time. But whatever floats your boat. But it seems like everyone's so focused on the power of the Xbox. But I think also a lot of people have kind of come back around on the PS5 and have admitted that this thing is a lot more powerful than what a piece of paper would say. It's so much more powerful in reality than it is on paper. I think this article will kind of talk a little bit more about that. So let's keep going here. There's been a lot of talks about teraflops too, but developers appear to be unanimous. PlayStation 5 will change the way games are designed. That's because its super fast SSD hard drive will not just improve loading times, but allow for bigger, better, richer worlds. This is about more than just fast travel or retries. It's about constructing sandboxes without bottlenecks and campaigns that can transport you to an entirely different location in the blink of an eye. We also believe the emphasis on 3D audio is fairly bold, especially when you consider the fact that sound is one of the most underrated aspects of games. The PS5's Tempest engine sounds absurdly powerful, and the effort that Sony's investing into it beggars belief. It even wants to map out the shape of your skull and position of your ears so it can offer the most precise simulation possible above and beyond. In raw hardware terms, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are closer than any two consoles have ever been in generations past, but from where we're sitting, Sony's made the right decisions with its device. Very few players will notice the few extra lines of pixels, but we're all going to experience the added immersion made possible by the DualSense controller, Tempest engine, and ultra-fast SSD, and I think that's a very good point. I keep focusing on the game aspect because that is what I love. I love games more than anything else. Yes, visuals are important. I've been noticing that a lot in Final Fantasy VII. There's a lot of really great details, but there's a sequence, I think in the last video that I posted in that series, where we're over, is it Sector 5? I think we're over Sector 5. And if you look down into the slums while we're up on the plate, you notice that the ground is it's not rendered environment. It basically looks like a printed picture is just taped to the underside of it. It looks gross. And I know so many people are probably thinking this is a weird aside, but I promise I will come back into my main points. Like I said, I care about visuals, but they're not the most important thing, which is again why I've always said that the Xbox focusing so much on its power is a bad move. Because yes, you can have great power, but well, I've also run into the issue of what the hell are they going to use that power for? More Sea of Thieves? Yeah, that's a game that requires a super high-end console. Again, I really think Xbox has been pushing an all-show, no-go sort of console, and I think Sony is showing something that is going to be, like I said, a little lower in terms of power, but I think all the added things to it is going to more than make up for it. I keep saying I'm in PlayStation's corner here. And this is the same argument I keep making. It's just I think PlayStation has the advantage, and just here's another one with the DualSense. I think that's the best way to put it. Let's move on. As I said, we're moving on, but we're staying on the same site. Push Square article, Robert Ramsey, Cyberpunk 2077 still set for September of 2020. Release date, CD Projekt Red has confirmed. Despite the coronavirus outbreak, CD Projekt Red says that Cyberpunk 2077 is still on track for its 17th September 2020 release date. Although employees are now working from home, the studio is confident that the project can go ahead without major disruptions. That's according to a new post on the company's official website. Quote, there is no shortage of motivation, and we all possess the tools needed to facilitate remote work, end quote. States joint CEO Adam Kuznicki. Quote, our plans haven't changed. We're steaming towards the September release of Cyberpunk, end quote. Making sure that everything goes according to plan must take some serious Yeah, okay. I am reading that word correctly. Some serious organization at this point, so it's impressive that the developer is still banking on Cyberpunk 2077's agreed launch later this year. Of course, the situation could still change. We're living in uncertain times right now, and if it does, we'll be sure to cover the news. Do you think Cyberpunk 2077 will hit its September release date? Take an impossible guess in the comment section below. I believe I have made this guess before, and I believe it was last week, actually. And I think I saw this article shortly after that show. When was this? This was last Wednesday? No? Okay, I guess I saw it a couple days later. Either way, doesn't matter. But it was when I was talking about some stuff for How The Last of Us Part 2 was delayed. Funny enough, I said, you know, you'd think that maybe they could finish up development from remotely, and here's what Cyberpunk's doing, but it's neither here nor there. Again, different companies, they have different stuff going on. Whatever, that's completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. There we go. Words are hard. But the important thing is what my opinions are of when these games are going to launch, because I think I've looked at a few groupings of games coming out in the next few months. You know, obviously The Last of Us got delayed. I said 50-50 shot Ghost of Tsushima gets delayed. 50-50 shot. I mean, I have seen some people bring up on Twitter that maybe Last of Us also got delayed because of the content of the game, how it's about a virus, you know, about, like, is it a viral outbreak? Because technically the, holy crap, why can't I remember what, there's spores. It acts more like a mushroom in The Last of Us. Why can't I remember what they're called? Oh, wow, I feel bad about myself right now. I need to go back and replay The Last of Us. Either way, not important right now. But yeah, I said Ghost of Tsushima. I say 50-50 chance that game misses its release date. Every day that we get closer to it, I feel better about it. But seeing that game's still not set to come out until June, I wouldn't be surprised to see a release date. So I still have that one at 50-50. Cyberpunk, I put that one at 75-25. It meets the September 12th? I know it's early-ish, mid-September, 17th, excuse me. So, yeah, about smack dab in the middle of September. Yeah, I say 75% chance Cyberpunk hits that date. I think it can still do it. Like they said, they're working from home. The game was originally set to come out around the same time, sometime next month. I know it was in May. I just can't remember exactly when. But, you know, with that being the original release date, they said, look, we're taking this extra time for polish and bug fixing and everything. If that's what they're doing, even though they are working from home, I think they can still hammer out the game. But that is not the only piece of Cyberpunk news I have for you. We have more. Staying on Push Square, article Liam Croft, early copies of Cyberpunk 2077 may not include all voice acting. I have a feeling that this is also due to the coronavirus, but, excuse me, but we'll see more as we read here. Day one patches have become an important element of video game releases through the PlayStation 4 generation, allowing developers to continue improving their titles for launch despite it having already gone gold. Some parts of the gaming community aren't a fan of them, but in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, it sounds like its day one patch will be absolutely essential. Alongside the usual bug and glitch fixes, which come with these updates, CD Projekt Red has said that some of the game's voice acting may have to be added via the day one patch due to the coronavirus. Michael Nowakowski, SVP of Business Development, stated that there have been some difficulties with the localization process due to the closure of studios. Quote, by the moment the customers will actually buy the game in September, they would just download a file, which would add the missing pieces of recordings, but that process has been hampered a little bit, end quote. If Cyberpunk 2077 does go the way of Final Fantasy VII Remake, where physical copies are given the green light to be sold early, it's going to be very interesting to see how consumers react to the lack of voice acting for certain sections of characters. That is if CD Projekt Red does indeed have to proceed with the content rollout. Of course, it's also likely to affect review copies, with the Polish studio already claiming that outlets will receive their pre-release codes weeks in advance. The entirety of that time will be spent without the presence of the day one patch. This is only something CD Projekt Red is considering at the time of writing, however, so it may not be a problem as the year progresses and the world hopefully returns to normal. How do you feel about this? Share your thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Again, look, I'm going to kind of give my thoughts on these quarantines and everything. I don't think we're going to be in quarantine for months and months. I would say at the latest we'd probably be out of quarantine. My guess would be the end of May. That would be my guess at the latest. Again, this is not a guess coming from a medical person or anything. This is me sitting in a room talking out of my ass. But that's my guess at the latest. It would be May. Or at least America. I don't know. Sorry, I can't speak for the rest of you. So, yeah, I think that they should be able to get all the final touches done by September. I don't think we're going to have to worry about releasing copies early or anything, but who the hell knows, right now. And at this point, I have to say, if they have to do it through a patch, they have to do it through a patch. If they want to wait a little bit so they can get all the localization and voice acting done, they wait a little bit. It kind of comes down to how the company wants to handle it. And I can see both arguments having merit. On the one hand, you want to launch the game as a completed product so that people don't get mad that the review copies or that the reviews get the attention that they should. They don't have to get hurt by the fact that certain aspects of the game weren't able to come out, even though it wasn't really their fault. I don't know. Like I said, I think everything's going to be maybe not back to normal, but on the process of getting there to where this problem could be fixed by the launch date. But at this point, who the hell knows? So yeah, I mean, would I care? Yeah, it would be annoying, but at the same time, I wouldn't be mad, and I'd understand why. We need this patches. Personally, I don't hate day one patches all that much. I understand the frustration with them, but I don't hate them. Yeah, I know I'm kind of taking a fence-sitting position of, well, whatever the company decides, but yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem, but whatever the company decides, I trust CD Projekt Red enough that they would make the best choice for them. So that's my take on that. Throwing in a GameSpot article between some Push Square stuff. PS4 and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk 2077 might happen, but not at launch. Article Jordan Ramey. I'm going with Ramey. As I said, this is GameSpot. Cyberpunk 2077 will indeed be getting separate next-gen versions of Xbox Series X and PS5 in the future, but developer CD Projekt Red has warned fans that they won't release alongside the new systems. Instead, they'll come further down the line as the consoles have launched and following the release of the Xbox One, PS4, and PC and Stadia versions of the game. Quote, in terms of Microsoft's console, like I said, we have officially confirmed both the update and the cross-gen availability, meaning that you'll be able to play the game from the get-go on the next-gen. CD Projekt SVP of Business Development, Michael Nowakowski, said, according to Video Game Chronicle. However, or the quote continues, however, when it comes to a proper full-blown next-gen version, that's going to come later. We haven't announced when, and I don't have a new comment on here on that, end quote. See, I'm not sure when exactly that quote came from, but seeing that we also know that PS5 is going to have backwards compatibility with some PS4 titles, I would also like to I'd also like to ask if Sony is going to have a similar thing where it's going to be backwards compatible. I'd assume that it would be, but again, I would like what am I saying here? But I'm just asking that question. I don't know anything. Nowakowski also reiterated that Sony hasn't said whether PS5 will support enhanced PS4 games like Microsoft already has for Xbox Series X and Xbox One, so there's no official word for whether PS5 will be able to play an enhanced PS4 version of Cyberpunk 2077. Again, I think it will, but speculation. There we go. CD Projekt Red has already confirmed that an update for Cyberpunk 2077 will allow Xbox One users to upgrade to an Xbox Series X enhanced version for free, but the same can't be said for PS4 and PS5 for now. Quote, there's no official announcement coming from PlayStation, so we really can't confirm or deny anything. Nowakowski said, quote, it's PlayStation that first needs to address these issues, and then we're happy to make a comment, but we can't jump the gun ahead of them. Nowakowski also confirmed that Cyberpunk 2077 is still on track for release in September. There are currently no plans to delay the release of the game. No, I think a good kind of parallel to this would be what Grand Theft Auto 5 did nearing the end of the 360 PS3 generation going into the Xbox One PS4 generation, which is it'll get a re-release. It'll be kind of a Game of the Year sort of release where it's going to be where it is going to be an enhanced version of the game. It is going to have the DLCs included. It is going to have some other goodies and whatnot. But that's although oddly enough, I'm gonna actually make a change to that statement because I don't want. No, you know what? I will keep that statement. I think it will include the DLCs because we know that there are going to be DLC packages with this game. I just don't know if they will be... It all kind of comes down to when they release this enhanced version, if it'll be after the DLC's launch. Because, as this next article says, we know a little bit about the DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. So apparently the Cyberpunk 2077 DLC plans will be revealed before release with at least 2 expansions. This is Robert Ramsey of Push Square. So like I said, I think the enhanced version will probably come with the DLC, but the enhanced version might come out after the DLC, because knowing Cyberpunk, or knowing, excuse me, I keep, for some reason, wanting to interchange Cyberpunk and CD Projekt. But knowing CD Projekt, I think that they are going to focus on the DLC before they focus on the DLC for their current gen platforms before they even come close to thinking of re-releasing the game on the next gen platform. Now, moving on from that, I'm very excited with what they're going to do for DLC because of what they did with The Witcher 3, which obviously this article mentions. A short article, but let's read. We've known for a while that CD Projekt Red plans on supporting Cyberpunk 2077 post-release with downloadable content. The developer has previously said that the game will follow a similar path to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which received 2 large and absolutely excellent expansions within the space of 13 months after its launch in 2015. Well, I mean, hell, one of those expansions won Best RPG... Yeah, it won Best RPG in 2016, did it not? I believe Blood and Wine won an award. So, you know, Witcher 3 won in 2015. I'm trying to remember the Game Awards from back then. I want to say The Witcher 3 won Game of... Didn't win Game of the Year that year? No, Witcher 3 got beat out by... I can't remember. I know Witcher 3 won RPG, and then it won it again with its DLC Blood and Wine the next year. I think that's how it went down. If you want to correct me on that, correct me on that. I could be wrong. Either way, not important. Either way, the DLCs were fantastic. Blood and Stone. Hearts of Stone was great, and then Blood and Wine was also absolutely fantastic. I bought the physical copies of both DLC packages, and that's why I have real-life physical Gwent cards in my house, because I'm a gigantic nerd. That's beside the point, and while I continue to feel shame about that, let's move on. And now we have a little information. I hate starting a paragraph with "and." And now we have a little more information regarding the developer's roadmap. In a recent investor question and answer session, as translated by VGC, CD Projekt Red confirms that at least 2 expansions for Cyberpunk 2077 will be revealed before the game's release on the 17th of September 2020. And yes, the company remains confident that it'll hit the promised date, at least at this point in time. With all that in mind, it's likely that we'll be hearing about Cyberpunk 2077's DLC plans in the next few months. Based on the success of Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, we can't wait to see what's in store. Honestly, I expect to see a very similar DLC strategy to Cyberpunk that they did with The Witcher 3, where they're going to give you some visual things, and they're going to give you maybe a little quest, and they're going to give you little pitter-patterings of DLC. Because honestly, the free DLC that came with The Witcher 3 was all good. You know, it was character costumes, it was new Gwent card designs, gear sets, horse armor sets. You know, that's kind of funny. There's horse armor DLC. That was kind of funny. There was a new quest added. I think there's about like 15, 16 pieces of free DLC that was, I believe, at launch too. That was just free for people who wanted to use them. If they did, there were little cosmetic things that weren't super important. After that, everything that you paid for, or they gave you those small little cosmetic things for free, and then they give you the big hefty expansions. I think calling them DLC is a little, isn't giving Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine what they deserve. They were true, honest to God expansions to that game. And I think we're going to see a similar thing with Cyberpunk. We'll probably see some smaller DLC pieces at launch, or near launch, I guess I should say, because I don't know with what's going on right now if at launch is necessarily fair, but I would say near launch we'll probably see some free shit, and then down the road they're going to hit us with a smallerish expansion, and then boom, here comes Blood and Wine, or Cyberpunk's version of Blood and Wine, where it's going to be even bigger. You know, it's probably going to add an entirely new area to the city, or maybe it's going to be an area outside the city, or maybe it's, I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that it's going to add an entirely new area to the game. It's going to add so many new quest chains and just content and everything. But I think the one before it is going to be a little smaller in scope, still test some new ideas or whatever. Again, it's like I said, if I was CD Projekt Red, I would go the same route as what they did with The Witcher 3, because what they did with The Witcher 3 was fantastic. It kept people happy, and then they just delivered fantastic expansions. I keep saying the word fantastic, so let's just move on before I say it again. Alright, moving on to some one-off articles. First off, well, I guess the first couple are both multiplayer / and or people who like Blizzard. I don't know, I think that there's probably some crossover between people who like multiplayer games and people who like Blizzard. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of Blizzard, but that's beside the point. I kind of like Activision. You know, it comes and goes with them, but Blizzard, not so much. Because frankly, looking at these games, I don't play WoW, I don't play StarCraft, never played Diablo, Hearthstone. I played a little bit. Heroes of the Storm I don't play, and Overwatch. Again, I played a free weekend once and wasn't a fan of it. But either way, we're not here to actually talk about Blizzard. We're here to actually talk BlizzCon 2020. Apparently, it might be feasible because of the coronavirus article. Steven Mesner of PC Gamer. Obviously, there's been a big rash of large conferences shutting down, E3 being the biggest one, but, you know, we also had PAX, GDC. You know, we had a few things close earlier in the year. Definitely, like I said, E3 is not happening. I almost said GameSpot. Gamescom, there we go, is, I think, on the fence right now. They might do a physical show if they can, but if things continue on their current path, what will probably happen is that Gamescom will end up being an online event, I would guess, hosted by Geoff Keighley, Jeff Keighley, however the hell it's pronounced. I still say it should be pronounced Joff based on how it's spelled, but whatever. I'm not. You know, you look at how my last name is spelled, nobody would guess that's how it's pronounced either. So whatever. Let's actually read the article here instead of talking about last names. Blizzard is still planning to hold its annual fan convention in Anaheim this November, but warned today that the event could be canceled if the coronavirus pandemic still prevents large gatherings at that time, like the rest of us. Okay, I was reading that as US. I'm like, why is it not capitalized? They just don't know how things are going to play out. And I quote, "While we're all hopeful things will look better later this year, the bottom line is that at this point, it's too early to know whether BlizzCon 2020 will be feasible." BlizzCon executive producer Saraline, I have no idea how to pronounce that first name, Smith wrote in an update, quote, "The health of our community, employees, and everyone who helps with the show is our top consideration. It might be a few months before we know for certain if or how we'll proceed, but as soon as we have a meaningful update, we'll share it," end quote. Blizzard has only skipped 2 years since the first BlizzCon was held in 2005. Blizzard uses the show to announce what's next for games like World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and Diablo. It's an important show as well as a controversial one as of late, 2 years ago due to the announcement of mobile-only Diablo Immortal, and last year with rallies in support of the Hong Kong protests taking place outside of it. Yeah, I remember both of those. I thought the Diablo Immortal announcement was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, how people in the seats were pissed. That was really great. I'm sorry, I like watching train wrecks. Leave me alone. The BlizzCon 2020. That BlizzCon 2020 might be canceled isn't surprising since the coronavirus outbreak began spreading to Europe and North America earlier this year. Gaming companies around the world have had to respond by canceling public events. Both the Game Developers Conference and E3 have been canceled, along with a host of esports tournaments. Well, did PAX Out and Out get canceled, or did Sony just... I can't remember exactly what happened. I thought PAX got Out and Out canceled. I don't know why. I can't remember something that happened months ago. Losing my mind, guys. Along with a host of esports tournaments and smaller conventions, at the time of writing, there are an estimated 1.5 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide. But to be clear, BlizzCon 2020 isn't canceled for now. Blizzard is just preparing for the worst. And if the worst does happen, Smith said the company is looking at other alternatives. We get it. They're going to stream something. And that's the obvious answer here. And I quote, "We do want to mention that prior to the recent events, we had been actively working to finalize our plans, and in fact are still doing so despite the workplace changes we've now made at Blizzard," Smith wrote. "That includes considering a range of scenarios and possibilities, now just in terms of the show, but also regarding what the experience would be for you. We know BlizzCon also involves preparation on your part, so we'll do our best to provide as much clarity as we can, as quickly as we can," end quote. So, but again, they're going to stream something if a in-person show doesn't end up happening. Not much else to say, guy, other than, is this really surprising? I mean, let's be entirely honest, not surprising. But again, for anybody who is fans of Blizzard and BlizzCon, just know that the show may be canceled in the coming weeks/months. As I said in the last article, I do have some multiplayer-focused news. Call of Duty Warzone Trios mode is back. Article by Games Radar. Activision and... this is written by... Sorry, I forgot the name of the article. Jordan Gerblick. Hopefully that is pronounced correctly. Let's see here. Activision and Infinity Ward have apparently been listening to Call of Duty Warzone fans as they've decided to bring the popular Trios mode back to Battle Royale shooter. Just 2 days after it was removed, the big Call of Duty Season 3 update brought a bunch of changes to Modern Warfare and the free-to-play Warzone. Among the biggest updates were 3 new Modern Warfare 3v3 maps, 2 new weapons, and new operator and quads mode for Warzone Battle Royale. All was well and good until players noticed that new quads mode wasn't complementing the existing Trios mode, but rather replaced it entirely. Let's see here. As our friends at PC Gamer pointed out, the response to Trios being canned was less than universally positive. The Warzone subreddit was rife with complaints about the loss of Trios squads, and shortly after Infinity Ward, for some reason I just lost my ability to read, issued a rather concise announcement via Twitter that Trios were back. Right now, there's a thread on the reversal that's attracted over 1,100 comments and 95% upvotes, at least in the Warzone community's eyes. The players spoke and the developers listened. In case you've made it through this article without fully understanding what trios and quads are, there are different modes within Warzone that let you play in teams of 3 and 4. Respectively, both options are now available, and we're pretty sure duos mode is on the way next. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a duos mode. And again, trios and quads, I think, completely works within the concept of what Warzone is. Honestly, I'd speak more about Warzone, but if I'm going to be entirely honest, I haven't played it. I included this article mostly because I know I do have people in the audience who enjoy multiplayer stuff and enjoy, would maybe be happy at this news if they hadn't seen it. But to be entirely honest, I haven't played Warzone. I really haven't gone back to Call of Duty since I really finished the LP. I mean, I played a little bit of it. I played a little bit of multiplayer, but as a whole, I really didn't. I really haven't gone back and played a lot of. I haven't gone back and played the campaign. I really haven't played anything really since I finished the Let's Play. So I don't know if anybody's out there liking it. Has a take on these modes. Always happy to hear it. So you can post them in the comments. Or hell, tell me if it's worth my time getting back into it now, if it's better or whatever. So either way, that's my take. Let's move on. All right, our final kind of one-off article before we hop into our final topic of today is some news on Ghost of Tsushima, article on IGN written by Matt Kim. Allies in Ghost of Tsushima could turn on you depending on your actions. This is a similar thing to what we saw in Mafia 3. I know that's a very odd comparison, but Mafia 3 did a very similar thing where your lieutenants, capos, underbosses, whatever you want to call them, could turn on you if you didn't divide territory properly, or if you didn't divide territory evenly, if you betrayed them in some way, shape, or form. It was a really neat feature when I heard about it, but then in practice, it became very mechanical. It was very mathematical. It was very easy to understand what you had to do to get what reaction. Hopefully, this one's a little less obvious. I really hope that. I'm trying to think here. Again, I think that's the best way to put it. It's a lot less. I hope it is a lot less obvious of what exactly you have to do. Obviously, if you play to a character's personalities, you're going to make them happier. But honestly, I'm most interested in finding out that we actually have true companions in this game. I like that this makes me think that it's going to be more open world than I was kind of starting to think. I don't know why, just because I've seen so little of the game actually work and actual gameplay of it. We've seen very small slices, we have seen trailers, but we have not actually seen gameplay of this. So I mean, I've always been wondering, is this a more linear action game with some open world segments? Is it a full-on open world game? What is Ghost of Tsushima? And the fact that there's companions and some this waypoint stuff that we're about to read really gets me excited. Like I said on the companion thing, I really like the idea. God damn it, I can't think straight right now. I'm getting tired. The basic point I'm trying to make is I like that one more time. I hope that it isn't easy to see the seams. It's a little harder to sort of metagame things. You can actually have to play to the characters as characters and not as just a game to be won, if you understand me. But either way, let's actually read the article before I keep going down a rabbit hole. Ghost of Tsushima will eschew, I'm going with eschew, traditional video game waypoints in favor of having players navigate the world using landmarks and other physical features, according to a new preview for Sucker Punch's upcoming Samurai Ninja action game, with only a few months until Ghost of Tsushima's launch, still slated for PS4 on June 26th. Official PlayStation Magazine UK has new preview for the action-adventure title, including new details about how travel and NPCs work in the game. Sorry, that's going to distract me. Well, when it comes to making your way through the detailed sandbox of Tsushima, players... Okay, there we go, sandbox. I'm sure they've mentioned it somewhere before, but again, it's just... I want to see gameplay. I want to see traveling the world and how everything works. Again, it's what I have been saying about this for a long time. It's just... It bugged me that we've not seen gameplay of this thing. Sorry. When it comes to making your way through the detailed sandbox of Tsushima, players will have to rely on physical landmarks and understanding of the world to explore. There are no waypoints in the game highlighting where the next mission is or where a side quest might be located. Not a super big fan of that, but let's keep reading. Compare this with Sucker Punch's infamous series, which used different waypoints to highlight various activities players can engage with, so if you're looking for a destination, you'll hopefully have a good sense of in-game direction. Other highlights from the preview includes how the God, I can't read that word. Eponymous, there we go. Ghost, real name Jin Sakai, was trained as a samurai, but adopts ninja-like skills to take on the Mongol invaders. That means Sakai can use either his samurai abilities or ninja abilities to take on threats. The player's combat choice can even impact interactions with other characters in Ghost of Tsushima. Shimura, Sakai's uncle and also a samurai, doesn't approve of the ninja skills, which could negatively impact your relationship with the character if you rely on it too much. That's interesting. So it's not dialogue choice, it's even how you play the game. Oh, that's cool. I like that idea. What was it? There was something else I wanted to say up here. Now, personally, I like waypoints and everything telling me, look, there's a mission here, there's the start of this here, or search this area, whatever. I like that stuff, but I also don't mind it when you kind of need me to understand how to move in the environment and kind of, I'm trying to think how to put it. You want me to read the environment and remember the environment, because I can do that, and I like it when games do that, but I also like having the map as that little bit of a help when I need it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to see it in practice before I make a final decision on that stuff. But I really like this idea, you know, because we saw it in the trailers that his uncle, or who I thought was just a trainer of his, but now it's apparently his uncle, doesn't like the fact that Jin is using the ninja, you know, that he's being a ninja. He's using guerrilla tactics instead of fighting honorably, you know, like a samurai. You know, we saw that in the trailer, but now that I know that actually your relationship can become strained if you use the ninja tactics. That's really cool. I really like that idea. Another character, Makoto, is an expert archer and could be a powerful ally to Sakai. However, if she disagrees with too many of your actions, she can end up turning on you. This suggests there are limited branching paths where the story changes depending on your actions. One cool detail for cinephiles is how the soundtrack features music by Japanese film composer Shigeru Umebayashi. Umebayashi. There we go. Who worked on movies like House of the Flying Daggers and The Grand Master. Check back with IGN for more news about Ghost of Tsushima, all that stuff. Yeah, 10 out of 10. That fucking masterpiece is what that game was. Is whatever. No, God damn it. I keep trying not to think about Ghost of Tsushima because I have a feeling it's going to be like Days Gone. Days Gone for me last year was a massive sleeper hit. I don't think enough people played it. I think it did well enough to warrant a sequel. I thought the game was fantastic. I loved the characters. Deacon St. John was really fun. It really, I love how the game explored its characters. You know, they actually interacted a lot. There's a lot of really quiet moments where they just talked, and it had some great action scenes. The gameplay was maybe a little clunky here or there, but for a studio that really hasn't done a game like that ever, to then put out something like Days Gone, I thought Days Gone was fantastic. But I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to be a lot like Days Gone in that respect. It is a game like Days Gone that has been pushed back multiple times, that always kind of puts that fear of, oh, what's going on? Is there some studio? Is the game changing directions multiple times? Do you just need more time? What's going on with the game? You know, there's a lot of questions with that. There's a lot of questions, like I said, with the fact that it's been pushed back so much. We really haven't seen a lot of gameplay. We've only gotten a few trailers. We don't know a whole hell of a lot about the game itself, and we haven't seen it work. So, honestly, it not only makes me, I don't want to say afraid, it not only makes me kind of wary, but the other thing it does, it makes me say this. This game, I think, is either going to be great, it's going to be a slam dunk, or it is going to go right into the toilet. I have a very strong feeling it is not. It is going to be on the extremes. It's not going to be in the middle. That's my final take. That's my take on Tsushima. Hopefully we get to see some gameplay before it launches in June, if it launches in June. But let's move on to our final topic. All right, on to our final topic here. Apparently the Silent Hill rumors that we talked about, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? My memory sucks. I'm sorry, I can't remember if it was last week, 2 weeks ago. Either way, apparently the Silent Hill rumors have some new teeth to them, or legs, or breath, whatever you want to call it. Either way, Connor Sheridan, Games Radar, Silent Hill gets another teaser from a big Japanese horror artist. Something Silent Hills related is happening, and it involves a prominent Japanese horror artist, as spouted on Reset Era. There we go. Artist Suehiro Maru. God, fuck me, I can never read that name. One of my favorite mangas has a character with a similar name to that, and I can't. I'm gonna guess it's Maruo. I don't know. Shared an intriguing pair of images on his Instagram account, along with the caption, quote, "Afternoon invitations, hope you'll join in," end quote. The image on the left displays some kind of word Silent Hills on it, and the Japanese katakana transliteration for Silent Hills below, and the image on the right is taken outside the entrance of Konami's Tokyo headquarters. With a Silent Hill reveal circulating, it's enticing to assume that Maro is coming on board to lend some of his horror chops to the production, assuming you'll enjoy his special brand of horror, which involves lots of licking eyeballs. Gross. According to the rumors, Sony is helping to mediate a revived relationship between Hideo Kojima and Konami in order to bring Silent Hills back to life, probably as an upcoming PS5 game. Honestly, Sony can try and... Look, I said this the first time we talked about these rumors, that it was supposedly that Silent Hill, that there was a Silent Hills reboot coming in the wings, and I've said I thought that was the best decision, because unless Hideo Kojima is making the game, is making Silent Hills, we see what PT showed us, or that what PT teased us, that no matter what they deliver, people are gonna hate it. Because people, I think, widely have sided with Hideo Kojima. I really don't see anybody who sided with Konami over Hideo Kojima in that situation, especially, again, after Konami did not allow him to go pick up his Lifetime Achievement Awards that year at the Game Awards. Then he had to sit, it was always the joke, he had to sit in a closet and watch it. Yeah, I really don't think they can do this without Kojima. And I think there's so much bad blood between them, I don't think it'll happen. Who the hell knows, though? I mean, maybe Sony can revive that relationship, but I really don't see Hideo Kojima coming back and working at Konami, and I don't see Konami letting Kojima Productions handle the IP. I do not see that happening. But whatever. Look, I make predictions all the time, and I like to say I'm right more than I'm wrong, but generally I'm not. So who the hell knows? You aren't getting horror deja vu. A prominent Japanese illustrator of horror has also been attached to the project called Silent Hills before. The first one was Junji Ito, the creator of all kinds of mind-bending horror manga, back when he was meant to be part of a creative triumvirate, along with Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima. Sadly, that project fell by the wayside as Kojima split with Konami, and all that publicly remains is PT. It's sadly worth pointing out that the only official word we've heard from Konami about Silent Hills is to shut down the rumors. Quote, "It's not to say we are completely closing the door on the franchise, just not in the way it is being reported," end quote. At least with the images shared by Maruo, we can feel fairly certain that something is afoot. Sure, something may be afoot, but again, I keep saying it, unless it's a flat-out reboot, anything. Hell, even then, I still think if Hideo's not, or excuse me, Kojima, you should give him that respect. If Kojima's not working on it, I really don't have a lot of hope for that game. All right, final article of the day, guys. Rumor: Sony has been working on Silent Hill reboot for 18 months. Article: Sammy Barker, Push Square. This is kind of a continuation of the last article. There's a lot going on with Silent Hill at the moment, and it's actually becoming quite difficult to unpack. Here's what we think we know. Japan Studio is working on a series reboot for Konami, with Gravity Rush creator Keiichiro Toyama directing the project. He obviously started his career working on the original Silent Hill, so it is a superb fit. So is a superb fit. Artist Masahiro Ito and composer Akira Yamaoka are also said to be involved. Alongside that, there is speculation that Silent Hills will be making a comeback, revived recently by Instagram images posted by manga artist, that guy whose name I keep butchering. No offense to him, I just can't pronounce names. These appear to be separate projects at the moment, and it's unclear how they're connected, if they even exist at all, of course. It's the Sony reboot that currently appears to be further along. According to rumor monger Dust Golem, writing on Reset Era, the title has been in production for about 18 months. The story goes that Konami was looking for a partner and Toyama wanted to return to horror. Sony is footing the project's bill, but it believes brand recognition gives this title a better shot at success than, say, a Siren sequel. Konami will get a percentage of the profits. Apparently, the reboot will be announced this year, presumably alongside the PS5 slate of in-development software. There's too much smoke here for there not to be something afoot, so at this stage, we actually believe the rumors are accurate and a new exclusive Silent Hill really is in development at Japan Studio. Of course, the proof will be in the blood-soaked pudding, so gross. So let's wait for confirmation before fully letting our imaginations run wild. Yeah, look, I hate to disagree with the professionals. I think the most at this moment, because we've seen that picture of him walking into the Konami the manga artist, the Konami Studios. I think them working on Silent Hills, bringing Silent Hills back, is more likely than a full-on Silent Hill reboot that's supposedly been working at Sony. Honestly, I'm looking more forward to the reboot. Look, Silent Hills made me about piss myself. I changed my pants, whatever. I was terribly afraid of that game. I mean, it freaked me the fuck out. All points go to Hideo Kojima and everyone who worked on that, by the way. But I think that one is, but still, them bringing that back and that game just failing again, because that's the problem when you had Hideo Kojima connected to that, and then you do what you did to him, and then bring it back with somebody else. Nothing against whoever they're bringing back to work on it, but again, with how lovable Kojima is and how loved he is in the industry, it doesn't seem like a good move. I think the reboot is the smarter move, but I don't think Konami would let some other studio handle their IP. Not because it's... I think it would be best for them, because I don't think Konami right now has the... I don't want to say it doesn't have the talent, because I'm not trying to rip on the developers, but I don't think they have the ideas behind it to create a good reboot for the franchise. Because Silent Hill is fucked up in all the right ways. And I would honestly be excited for a reboot. I would play a reboot of Silent Hills. Or, excuse me, of Silent Hill. It's just after what they did with Metal Gear Survive, you know, they took some, and I get it. It was an offshoot of Metal Gear. It was kind of like when they made what was that, Metal Gear Rising? Was that the one, the action game with Raiden or what, the cyborg guy? And that one got universally panned. It just hated. I guess I just don't get why they wouldn't try to make another mainline Metal Gear game. Instead, they decided to go off the reservation with a weird zombie survival game that could have worked, but it just didn't. Yeah, if I'm trying to think here. I can keep going, but no, I think I've made my point clear. Look, I think Konami's going to hold on to the IP. They're not going to let anyone work on it to their detriment. And I think that, yeah, I don't think Silent Hills coming back without Hideo Kojima will work. I think the reboot has the better chance, but I actually think that one's less likely to be accurate or to actually be working, because I don't think we really have any details on the reboot other than this guy who does seem to have a fairly credible track record saying it's in development. We don't know if how accurate that is. At that point, as far as Sony, as far as Japan Studios and Sony actually working on one independent or pseudo independently from Konami, I think that one is I'm gonna have to leave more. I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing. If that makes sense. That's my take on that. So before I keep just stumbling around here, let's close out, guys. I want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching. If this was the first time you ever watched this show, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come back on Sunday when I actually try to do this show. But if history has taught us anything, I am nothing if not inconsistent on when I release the show. Either way, next week we will have more news for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, expect to see a lot of Final Fantasy today, just because I really just feel like playing Final Fantasy today. Other than that, like, comment, not already, please subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed the show. Links and everything's down in the description, along with social media. I think that's everything. And until next time, guys, my name's AJ Gels. This is Something Game Channel. I'm out.